The wind scraped across the abandoned farm like it wanted to erase every trace of life that had ever lived there. Snow blew hard against the rotten barn walls. A cold so sharp it felt alive. Inside that broken shelter, Valora Finch moved like someone already halfway to death. Her stomach had been empty for 3 long days, and her thin body trembled with each step. She had once been the strongest healer in Belwick County, but now she looked like a ghost of the woman she used to be. She tried to close the barn door against the storm, but her fingers, numb with cold, barely worked. Snow stung her face when she turned. Even a mouse ran from her, disappearing into a crack in the floor. Valora watched it go. Even a tiny creature had more safety than she did. Just last month, this barn had been full of food: potatoes, flour, dried meat, jars of preserves from their summer garden, enough to carry her and Samuel through winter. Now the shelves were stripped bare. Her neighbors had taken everything the night they dragged her and Samuel into the town square, calling her cursed and pointing to the small red birthmark at her collarbone. The pastor had said it was the devil's kiss. They blamed her for the fever that had taken 3 children, even though she had tried everything to save them. They forced her to leave Belwick or face burning. Samuel had tried to defend her, standing in front of the door with his shotgun. They beat him until he could barely breathe. They fled into the winter night with nothing but a little food and their clothes. Samuel promised they would start over, but he never made it. The cold and hunger took him 2 weeks later. Valora had buried him outside the barn as best she could, her tears freezing on her cheeks. 32 days had passed since then. She had marked each one on the barn wall with a rusty nail. Her dress hung off her like a worn sack. Her hands shook from cold and weakness. She clutched her grandmother's silver pendant, the only thing she'd managed to hide when Belwick's people stole everything else. If she could reach the next town, she might trade it for food, but it was 15 miles away. She couldn't walk half that distance in her condition. Outside, the storm howled. Inside, the pain in her empty stomach twisted tight. Valora slid down into the hay, too weak to stand any longer. Her breath came thin and shaky. Maybe this was how it ended. Maybe this was the kindest finish she'd get. Then the barn door slammed open. The blast of wind hit her first. Snow swirled past the giant figure filling the doorway. At first, she thought the mob had come back for her. But no, this was one man. A massive, broad-shouldered shape holding an axe across his back. "Who's there?" his deep voice demanded. "This is private property." Valora scrambled backward, her heart racing. She pressed against the barn wall, helpless and shaking. The stranger stepped inside and shut out the storm. Snow melted in his dark beard and hair as he studied her. "You're from Belwick," he said. She flinched at the name. Not anymore. His eyes moved over her thin frame. He didn't look disgusted. He didn't look afraid. He looked like someone recognizing a story he'd lived before.
"When did you last eat?" he asked.
She couldn't answer. The days had blurred into one long nightmare. The man pulled out a cloth bundle. When he opened it, the smell of warm bread and cheese filled the space. Valora's stomach cramped so hard she gasped. "I'm not looking for payment," he said quietly. "Eat." Her hands shook as she reached for the food. "Why?" she whispered. "Why would you help me?" His blue eyes softened with something deep, something old. "Because they burned my mother at the stake when I was 10. She grew plants to heal people, but the town feared her. I know what they did to you." The first bite of bread broke her. Tears spilled down her face as she ate. The stranger watched silently, standing between her and the cold wind like a wall. "My cabin's 3 miles north," he said when she finished. "There's a fire there. More food. You can rest." She hesitated, too weak to stand and too afraid to trust. He stepped forward, offering a calloused hand. "My name is Thorly," he said. "Thorly Blackwood." Valora swallowed hard. She had lost everything: her home, her husband, her name in Belwick. But as she looked at the lumberjack standing in front of her, she felt something she thought had died with Samuel. A flicker of warmth beneath her ribs. Not hope, she didn't dare call it that, but maybe a small shadow of it. I'm Valora Finch, she whispered. Thorly nodded once. Can you walk, Valora Finch, or will I need to carry you? A gust of wind screamed outside, but for the first time in weeks, Valora felt a whisper of safety standing beside this stranger in the storm. She didn't know where following him would lead. She didn't know the price she might pay for his help. But she knew one thing. She didn't want to die in that barn. She reached for his hand. Thorly's cabin stood at the edge of a thick pine forest, smoke rising from its chimney like a promise Valora was almost afraid to believe. When Thorly pushed the door open, heat washed over her, warm enough to sting her frozen skin. After weeks of bitter cold, the sudden warmth felt unreal, like stepping into another world. Sit by the fire, Thorly said gently. Valora's legs nearly gave out, and she lowered herself into the chair he pointed to. Her fingers tingled painfully as they thawed. She didn't remember what comfort felt like until this moment, and the memory almost brought tears again. Thorly moved through the cabin with quiet purpose. He ladled broth from a pot into a wooden bowl and set it beside her with a piece of dark bread. Eat slow, he said. Your stomach isn't ready for much. Valora obeyed, sipping the warm broth while he sat across from her. The firelight flickered over his face, catching the rough beard and the tired lines around his eyes. He looked like a man who had carried too much alone for too long. Why did you help me? She asked once she'd eaten enough to think straight. Thorly stared into the fire, his voice low when he finally spoke. No one helped my mother, he said. She healed people with plants just like you. When the mayor's son died of fever, they blamed her. They called her a witch. They burned her. And when my father couldn't live with what happened, he took his life too. I was sent to an orphanage after that. Valora's breath caught. The same cruelty, the same fear, the same lies had shaped both their lives. You didn't deserve any of that, she whispered. Neither did you, Thorly replied. For a moment, neither spoke. The storm outside beat against the cabin walls, but in here, the quiet felt safe. You can stay tonight, Thorly said softly. Tomorrow, we'll figure out what comes next. Next. Valora hadn't allowed herself to imagine a future in a long time. She had only lived from hour to hour, trying to survive the cold. Now, sitting in Thorly's warm cabin, she dared to breathe. But the peace shattered when someone pounded on the cabin door so hard the hinges rattled. Valora froze. Her heart lurched into her throat. Thorly grabbed the shotgun, leaning in the corner, and looked at her. Get into the root cellar, he whispered. Now. Valora's legs trembled as she lifted the trapdoor Thorly pointed to. She climbed down the ladder into the dark space below, curling against the dirt wall as Thorly shut the door above her. Then she heard the voices. Blackwood, open up! She recognized that voice. Silas Pewitt, the head of the Belwick Council, the man who had pointed at her in the town square and called her cursed. Thorly stood his ground. There's no witch here, he said calmly. Just me. Don't lie, Silas growled. We tracked her here. Step aside. We have a right to search. You have no right on my land, Thorly answered. And you won't cross my door tonight, the man outside muttered angrily. Valora pressed her fist to her mouth, fighting the panic clawing at her chest. Thorly was risking everything for her, and Belwick's hatred was deep enough to kill. You're protecting a demon, Silas shouted. 3 more children are sick because of her. Or because your town refuses to fix the filthy water, Thorly shot back. There was a long, angry silence. Then Silas spoke again. We'll be back with the sheriff. Bring him, Thorly said. It won't change anything. Hoofbeats faded into the storm. The cabin fell quiet. The trapdoor opened, and Thorly's face appeared. They're gone, he said. For now. Valora climbed out on shaking legs. Fear twisted through her until she felt sick. They'll come back, she whispered, and they won't stop this time. Thorly set the shotgun aside and looked at her with steady eyes. I won't let them take you. Valora's voice cracked. I can't stay here. I'll only bring danger to you. Thorly stepped in front of her, blocking the door she had instinctively backed toward. You won't survive 5 steps in that storm, he said. and I won't let you die out there." "Why?" Valora asked, her voice breaking. "Why fight for someone you barely know?" Thorly paused. He searched her face with a softness she didn't expect. "Because I know what you are," he said quietly. "You're a healer, not a monster. And people like you deserve someone who stands beside them." His words cut through the fear in her chest like warm light. But before she could reply, the wind outside howled louder. The shutters slammed against the wall as the storm thickened. Thorly glanced out the window, his jaw tightening. "They're gathering again," he said, "and this time they're not coming to talk." Valora's breath hitched. The fear she had carried for months surged up again, heavy and crushing. "What do we do?" she whispered. Thorly handed her a blanket and checked the shotgun. "We stand together," he said. "And we fight for your life." Outside, the voices of angry men rose in the storm. Inside the cabin, Valora and Thorly prepared for the moment everything would change. The shouts outside grew louder as torches flickered through the trees, their light shaking across the icy clearing. Valora stood beside Thorly, her breath tight in her chest. The hunting knife in her hand felt too light, too small against the wave of hatred moving toward them. Thorly stepped in front of her, grounding her with his steady voice. "Stay behind me. No one touches you." Before Valora could respond, fists pounded on the cabin door. "Blackwood, send out the witch before someone gets hurt." Thorly didn't move. "Her name is Valora Finch, and she speaks." He looked at her over his shoulder. His blue eyes held faith she wasn't sure she deserved. "You said you had a plan," he whispered. Valora swallowed hard. "Let me try." Thorly hesitated, then slowly lowered the bar on the door. The door swung open to reveal Silas Pewitt and a crowd of men soaked in sleet, their faces twisted with fear and anger. Rope hung from one man's belt. Another held a rifle pointed low but ready. Valora stepped out before Thorly could stop her. A hush fell over the crowd. She felt the weight of their stares, the same people she had once healed, the same people who had turned on her. Her voice trembled, but she made herself speak. "You think I cursed your cattle," she began. "You think I hurt your children. But what if I told you I know what's really making them sick?" Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She lies," Silas snapped. "Don't listen," Silas, said another man. "My cow died yesterday, just like yours, and my mark's been shaking with fever." Silas shot him a glare, but fear had already begun to spread among them. Valora stepped forward, her voice gaining strength. "The mining camp upstream uses mercury. It leaks into your water. First it kills the fish, then your cattle, then your children. It happened before. You blamed me then, but it wasn't me. It's poisoning from your own creek." A thick silence fell. The town doctor pushed forward, his brow furrowed. "The symptoms," he muttered. "They match what she's saying." Silas's face turned pale. "She bewitched you too?" Before anyone could react, the wounded dog Thorly had rescued limped from the cabin and growled at Silas. The man jerked back, his fear turning to chaos. Men stumbled. Someone dropped a torch. A woman cried out. Pastor Webb arrived then, shoulders hunched against the storm, his voice strong and calm. "Enough," he said. "Let her speak." With the pastor's support, the crowd quieted. Valora took a breath. "Test the water," she said. "Take samples above the mine and below. Send them to the city. Until then, stop drinking from the creek. Use the spring." The doctor nodded. "She's right. It's safer." Silas shook his head, but the doubt spreading through the group was louder than his objections. "We'll test it," the pastor said firmly. "And if the water's poisoned, we'll know the truth." The sheriff stepped forward. "Let her treat the sick while we wait for results." Silas sputtered, furious. "You're choosing her over your own safety?" "We're choosing sense," the doctor said, "not fear." For the first time in months, Valora felt the world shift beneath her feet, away from hate and closer to hope. The townspeople lowered their weapons. The storm eased, and Valora stepped back into the cabin, not as a witch, but as a healer. By dawn, the cabin had become a place of hope, The sick children lay warm near the fire. Valora moved from bed to bed with gentle hands, giving remedies, checking fevers, whispering comfort. Thorly worked beside her tirelessly, bringing clean water and tending the fire. The father of a little girl, one of the men who had once screamed for Valora's death, knelt beside her. "She's better," he whispered. Valora touched the girl's forehead. The fever had broken. "Make sure she drinks the spring water only," she said. The man bowed his head in shame. "I'm sorry," he murmured, "for everything." Valora nodded. "Let your actions now make things right." Outside, riders galloped to the city with water samples. Moments later, the sheriff burst in, holding a scrap of paper found at the mine. Payment records, bribes. Silas Pewitt had taken money to keep quiet. The crowd turned on him, not with violence, but with deep, cutting disappointment. Silas dropped to his knees, broken beneath the weight of truth. Valora didn't look at him. Her work was the sick, not vengeance. By nightfall, most patients were resting peacefully. In the quiet that followed, Valora stepped outside. The air smelled clean after the storm. Thorly joined her, his presence steady as the pines behind them. "You saved them," he said softly. Valora shook her head. "I saved myself too." Thorly took her hand, rough and warm. "What happens now?" Valora looked toward the horizon. "Some will still fear me. Some always will. But others will learn." "And us?" Thorly asked, his voice gentle. Valora turned to him fully. In his eyes she saw the same loneliness she had carried for months, now softened by something warmer. She rose on her toes and kissed him, a soft, grateful kiss, a promise, a beginning. When they parted, Thorly cupped her cheek. "I'm not a man of many words," he murmured. "Then don't use words," Valora said with a small smile. "Just stay. I wasn't planning to go anywhere." Behind them, the cabin door opened. Martha Green stepped out, tears on her cheeks, her child sleeping in her arms. "My boy is recovering," she whispered. "Belwick needs a healer. We hope you'll return." The offer hung in the air. Valora looked at Thorly. He squeezed her hand. "Where you go," he said, "I go." Valora breathed in the cold night air, letting the moments settle into her bones. "We'll decide together," she said softly. And for the first time since winter had nearly claimed her life, Valora Finch felt truly, fiercely alive.